I'm Vin,
And I'm Evan.
and we're the Cash Flow Bros.
All right, let's go.
All right, bro. Hey, so before we get started, how was your Lunar New Year?
Oh man, it's quiet.
What? Lunar New Year quiet?
For one, our office here in Vietnam Town is banned for firecracker, and we like to go big. So this year we didn't like any firecracker for the safety of the environment. So but we like some at home anyway. But it was fun. I mean, overall it was fun.
You probably didn't need to because I've seen videos of all these guys right in front of Grand Century just blowing the place up. So it looked pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, it's crazy, dude. I think they broke the statue or the foundation of it.
Yeah, but another thing why I love Lunar New Year, besides for all the craziness, is if you're not married, you still get red envelopes. So that's another cash flow right there, hack for you guys.
Hence, Vince still want to stay single for the red envelope once a year.
Exactly, that's my cash flow right there. Speaking of which, where's mine, brother? Just kidding. But in any case, I wanted to start off this episode kind of talking about what's going on in the market, because by the time you guys see this, the market's probably already on fire. But we're starting to see it heat up a lot. And
it's weird. Depends on where they're watching this video. Because if they're in another state like Boise or somewhere, and they're like, "What are you talking about? We still have inventory, 60 days on the market," and then people tend to watch the Silicon Valley real estate market, what it does, because you remember when we were getting multiple offer, 100, 200,000 over asking price, all cash buyers, and that was barely happening to anywhere else. And then because of the market's getting too competitive, the real estate, the Californian people say, that travel to Texas and Austin and buying all these properties are paying overbidding, causing the market to go up. Now, I know you guys don't like us, depends on where you're watching this video, but California and Silicon Valley is a great indication for your market.
I totally agree. I think what happens here, we start seeing spread out to other places. For example, we were the ones that started off with the offer deadline, right? Then after that, everyone started doing offer deadlines just because it was getting so crazy. But you make a great point. We are the leading indicators. So what you see starting here, you're probably going to start to see later on down the line for you guys. But it's a great topic right now because everybody was talking about how the market was really bad last year. And as we know, a lot of economical stuff going on. But now we want to kind of get you in the driver's seat because again, leading indicators, we're starting to see market heat up. So what we want to talk about is it too late to find a deal? And if it's not, how can we still find deals when the market is starting to heat up like this?
It sounds cliche when I tell you this. It's never about the market. It's always of the deal, and you can always find great deals in any market. Because there's nothing wrong with real estate a price can't fix. So, and I keep on repeating that on my previous episodes while saying that it depends. It doesn't matter because when you acting as an investor, we're looking at the bottom line. So if the number makes sense, it doesn't matter what kind of market it is. If it's low market, you buy low. If it's up market, you just buy higher.
Yeah, no, and I think that's what we talk about with everybody, right? Timing the market. You never know if you're going to be successful or not. But a successful investor doesn't time the market. They're in it for the long game, and at the end of the day, it's the bottom line.
And it's funny because I had this conversation with my investor about 2 days ago. We were having lunch, and the question was, "Hey, is it the right time to start buying yet?" And I'm like, "Are you timing the market? Because if you are, then you're gonna miss out on everything, right?" You should have your eyes on the market always.
Right.
And I say, yeah, it's a great time to buy always. And it's good time when you find a great deal.
Yeah.
It's terrible time when it's a bad deal.
Yeah, totally. And I think one of the things that make it a little bit easier to get that deal, I mean, we're talking about don't time the market, but at this time, we are starting to see things change a little bit. Like, I've been talking to a lot of agents, and I don't know about you, maybe we can talk about that as well, but I've been seeing like 40, 50 disclosures downloaded for particular properties.
Oh, yeah.
Prices going above list now when we were always getting below list. Open house traffic getting a lot more, showings getting a lot more. So I mean, what have you been seeing? Have you been showing
I
homes and
see a
stuff?
mixture of mindset, bro. I had a buyer that I actually met up with at a property in Willow Glen, 95125, hot area. We all know it's a higher desirable location because of the culture of the local, the neighborhood. I scheduled them a showing on a Saturday at 11 a.m. We arrived there at I got there about 10:45. I called the listing agent, and because I called the listing agent on the way there, because when I pulled up the status, it was pending.
Already?
And that was 3 days on Saturday, 11 a.m. Remember, open house don't start until 1 p.m. And I call the agent. It's only been on the market for 3 days. And I say, hey, what's going on? I saw the status change to pending. And she say, Shirley, there was an offer came in last night, all cash. Wow. And it was so good, the seller decided to go with it and be done with. And I'm like, open house started in about 2 hours.
Wow.
Why don't you, want to check it out to see if get more exposure, get high offer, and then the agent would have, the agent reply, I advise my seller that the first one usually the best.
Yeah.
So now she might not be wrong. However, what I go back to what I comment about your question is that it's a mixed feeling market where we've seen it both ways. We've seen the really hot listing goes on the market and then no offer. Yeah. And then 2 weeks down the road, then it become a price drop, a price decrease. Seller don't want to see themselves in that situation. Now, this is a shift of mindset. If you ask same question about 6 months ago or 8 months ago when the market was still hot, in betweens, right? The seller think that, wait a minute, I'm going to ask the moon for my property, right? Because they know they're probably going to get it because there will be multiple offers. But after that, they're like, oh, they've seen too many days on the market for the listing going around them. And now they're like in between. Okay, if there's a good offer, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But also, I've seen listing recently, and this is late January 2023. So 17 offers.
It's crazy,
17
dude.
offer. And I was like, are we back to multiple offer? Because
right.
that just happened. Like, if the price is right, it's still moving. And so how do you, depends on where you're watching this video from. You might be thinking I'm crazy, but this is what's going on in Silicon Valley now. The market is weird, but the water just fine. Come on in.
I like that. I think this is such a crazy topic right now because for months, all agents have been talking about is, man, this is the time to buy because right now, sellers are giving everything up, right? If the sellers are selling at this moment, they need to sell. So This is where they smell the blood, like you were talking about. But now that the market's picking back up, I'm getting people asking me, is it too late? And we were talking about timing, and when you think about timing, it's never too late. But also, the way you find deals is if you have leverage,
Right.
And if you're the only offer. And at this time, we're starting to see that, you might not be the only offer anymore. So how do you find deals right now as the market's picking back up? And any real life examples? I'd love to hear how you've been finding these deals.
And if you are an investor, even you're a first-time home buyer and you're watching this video, you should consider thinking as an investor because that's how investors find deals. They find great deals. Mm-hmm. And how did they find great deals? Is by volume. If you look at 10 deals and there's one of them that's good that jumped out, then that's a great deal. But if you're just looking at 2 properties and you're picking one of them, maybe that's not so much of a great deal, right? So it depends. I mean, you gotta allow. Imagine you're single, and you go on a dating app. You want to look at selection,
right?
You want
to keep swipe right.
Is it left or right? I don't know. Down, up, down, left, right. A, B. Well, it just depends. You want more option.
Yes.
And these matching website, they know that. They study that.
It's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game. So if they offer you 20 for your membership, and they want you to continue paying your membership, so maybe providing 2 closing options at all the time, then you probably lose you in a few months, right? So they provide you a lot of selection.
Yeah.
And I find myself walking to a Best Buy looking for a battery for my camera and end up buying some other thing because my eye was just browsing everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. So catch yourself in those situations. You want yourself with more selection.
Yeah.
So how do you get more selection in this market and kind of low inventory market? You just have to work harder. So before you have to work 1 or 2x to get to a property with certain profit, now you just have to work 10x. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So work harder, ask for more deals, call real estate agent, call local agent, and your script can be something like this. Hi, I am an investor. I'm looking for the property in 123 Main Street. 95125 zip code, and I'm looking for a property that has some potential added value. I can potentially pay cash, and I love working with a real estate agent that can bring me any deal. Okay, my name is Evan. Here's my phone number. And by the way, do you have any upcoming listing in your office that you can share with me?
Yeah, that's actually
Okay.
really good at, yeah.
Because if you ask for one single agent, then he or she might not have a lot of listing or upcoming that she's working in the pipeline. But if you're asking for their office, then they'll go in and they'll dig it. They'll say, okay, at office team meeting, they'll raise their hand and say, I'm having a buyer looking for 95125. And if you have anything, please let me know. Now you have 10, 15, 20 agents, or even 100 of agents are now looking out for your deals.
That's such a great point because real life example, I have one buyer who lives in a condo, and the condo across from him is doing a remodel. And I've been looking at homes with this guy for the last few months, but a condo right in front of his just popped up, but it's not on market. They're remodeling. So he gives me a call and says, hey, Vin, it's being remodeled. Can you see if they're planning on selling it? Find out who the agent or find out who the seller was, got in contact with the seller. Seller led me to their agent, says, yes, we are selling, but here's my agent. And we're maybe a few weeks or a couple months away, but we're trying to paint and do it up. So I call the agent, and the agent says, yes, we are planning to put it on the market. We're remodeling, but if your buyer's interested, we will definitely be open to a deal off market.
Yeah.
And because with the way the market was, there was another listing right now active that was been sitting.
Right.
So it's even more incentive for them to be like, okay, yeah, we don't want to sit like them. We want to do a deal. So if you have the bottom line that's the same as our bottom line, maybe we can work a deal.
Yeah, yeah. So why do buyers, investors looking for off-market deals?
Well, it's because
Why do you look for off-market deals?
when everybody else sees it and it's exposed, you ain't getting a deal, right?
Well, it all comes down to having selections and having selection with a higher chance that you get to be the one that buying it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why investors oftentimes look for off-market deal. Now, off-market deal don't necessarily mean you got the great deal. You just be one of the few people that get the chance to look at. And then
Right.
we'll get back to what I mentioned earlier is selection.
Yeah.
So if you offering less selection to others as well, right? If you're going on MLS, multiple listing services, you're now exposed to the public sites such as Redfin, Zillow, just to name a few. And then now all eyes on these property.
Yeah.
Right? But that can also backfire on you because if you go on the market, you have to go on a certain price because you have to cover the cost of the listing fee and all the closing costs. Now you have to ask a certain price.
Yeah.
But if you go on off market, you don't have to pay all those fees. Like for example, maybe the listing agent fee, right? So that's why people do it. And by offering off market opportunity, now you go into the eyes of the people that are investors and looking out for off-market deal. So, there's no bad strategy, but it's all about come down to your bottom line. Like,
I like what you were saying earlier, though, with trying to find these deals, because one thing you mentioned was talking to real estate agents, because these guys know the people, they have the inventory. So try calling them, seeing if they would be willing to do off-market. But what are some other ways that people can try to find off-market?
The most effective way, the best way, in my opinion, is just fundamental. If you're driving down the neighborhood and you've seen the house that the front of the house it's neglect, or a certain thing that you recognize a house that fall into the negligent, if you will, and you can just knock on the door.
Yeah.
Knock on the door and say, hey, I'm Vin, I'm in the neighborhood and I see your house. I love this neighborhood. I would love the opportunity to own this property. And can I offer you a price? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think unless they're gonna, like I say, there's no one buy a property and plan to die in it.
Yeah.
They will buy a property, own it, and look for better opportunities, right? So if you're in that similar, or if you're in that right mindset, if the offer is right, then why not? Why not move?
And I would say on top of that too, like that is the hustler's way of trying to get these deals. But at the same time, some of these sellers can be pretty like assholes, to be honest with you, right? Because they're like, who's this guy coming up? So if you are doing that style, you want to come at them from, hey, how can we help you try to get out of this situation, right? Because the house is being neglected. I mean, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to stay here and die in this box? Or do you want to leverage and take advantage?
I wouldn't take
right?
that approach.
I wouldn't say those words exactly, but you would want to just find out what their motivation is to give you a higher chance of trying to get that deal.
At the end of the day, offer a win-win situation.
Exactly.
Because if depends on the seller profile, but there will be a certain motivation that why they would consider selling the house to you, whether the price or maybe you can assist them with their moving, for example. So we've done deals in the past where we actually helped the seller, declare the entire house, trashed out everything, and literally he just picked what they want and moved out, and we took care of the rest, and we helped them with their moving costs, right? So I think at the end of the day, people wanted to do it, they have a thinking of doing it, but when it comes to execution, it's really hard to detach from all these sentimental value things around their home. But if you can offer them a solution, that's how you get the deal.
Yeah, totally. Because I was just gonna ask you, I have encountered some sellers where they're like, I was asking them, hey, I mean, do you plan on moving out of here, or what's the goal? And they told me, no, I'm planning to die here. You can't move me. And I'm like, in my head, there's a price for everything, right? But how do we kind of get to that win-win situation? And that's, I guess, some of those ways you were talking about, right?
Right. There's a lot of ways that you can offer a win-win situation, but your first step is to have to really dig down and understand that seller motivation. What would motivate them to move?
Yeah.
Right? It all comes down to their why. Like, why should I move?
Yeah.
Right? If I sell it now, then they might think, or they might not know about Prop 13. They're thinking that, hey, if I'm buying somewhere else, one, I can't afford it. Two, I don't want to pay the new property tax.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot of things that you can provide education that provide or ignite that motivation for them to move. Because I don't know if you know, but a lot of properties in the Bay Area, and especially the one that are neglected, owned by the people that can't afford to fix their house.
Yeah, of course.
And they have tons of equity in their property. They probably bought it somewhere back in the 80s for $80,000 or $30,000, $30,000 to $80,000, somewhere around that range. And now it's worth 1.2 to 1.6 million, right?
Yep.
They don't have the income to cash out on their property to improve their property. So therefore, hence they're negligent for the property, right?
Yeah.
But if they are retired and they collecting SSI or some government assistance, and that's just enough to live at the home, right? So understand that circumstances, knowing that they don't have access to capital, right? So what solution can you provide, and what kind of education that you can enlighten them so they can become a motivation?
Yeah. Speaking of kind of motivations and ways to kind of get a win-win situation, I've been seeing this one guy named Pace Morby. I'm not sure if you've heard of him, but he's been getting pretty famous by doing Subject 2.
Yeah.
So honestly, I'm not really quite adverse, or I don't really know too much about it, but I mean, how do you do something like a Subject 2 financing kind of deal to help the sellers out, help you with this deal?
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways you can offer this and structure this Subject 2. One of the ways that I want to share with you is that in this time where the interest rate is probably going to stay around 6% or even getting higher, depends on how the economy is going for the next couple of quarters. But there's one thing that you can offer. Let's just say the seller, the property owner, is in a circumstance what I mentioned earlier. He or she owns the property with tons of equity but don't have access to capital, meaning that they don't have the credit, they don't have the income to support for a loan. But what other solution you can provide them? For example, provide housing somewhere that is more affordable. They can move their tax proposition over there so they can still paying low tax. Perhaps even a mobile home, right? Why? If you're in your late 70s, 80s, you don't want too much of financial burden, right? But they need income. How do you can offer them income? One of the solutions that's very popular back in the day when the interest rate was 12 to 16% is seller financing, right? Imagine you can look at her and say, what if... imagine if you're looking at the homeowner and say, what if I can offer you a 6% interest only, right? For 10 years or even more, whatever you want, right? I just pay you interest, and that can be your passive income. So instead of being the property owner where your house is being neglected and deteriorating, now you have a fixed income that you can apply that towards your mobile home or whatever it is, somewhere in another state that is more affordable. And keeping everything low, so collecting that passive income, the interest only, plus your government assistance or SSI or pension, retirement plan, anything like that you may have. Now, if you help them come up with that plan where it's more affordable for them to live at a nicer environment and have the cash flow coming in, then you have a property, maybe negotiate a deal and provide a solution for the homeowner.
That's pretty smart. I mean, giving them options of the passive income, but also I like what you were talking about at the beginning, finding them a solution or another house so they can trade into that.
Yeah.
Because if you find out their motivation and find out, oh, hey, well, where would you move to? What would work for you at this time in your life? And if you can find that, that's all the more excuse for them. Like, oh, well, there's the house already. You're giving me the income and the passive stuff to do it. It's a win-win.
Yeah,
right?
People willing to move if only they know how. So I think if you're an investor, it is really important that you become an educator. And sometimes when you meet a homeowner, lead it with integrity, lead it with ways that to provide solution, and that will trade off for the profit that you're looking for at the property. So that's how we've been acquiring our properties. To be honest, it's just to provide solutions.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So I think that was pretty good so far. I mean, we were talking about if it's the right time or if it's too late, but from an investor standpoint, it's never too late, right? You just got to work harder to find the deals depending on the timing. But if you are still looking, there are deals to be had. And these are some of the ways that you can kind of find these deals.
Absolutely. There's tons of other ways, including, there are tons of other ways that you can actually come about doing this, including mailers or callings and things like that. There's tons of ways.
Yeah.
We're just naming a few, but and also buying leads. So there's company out there that's collect all the leads because from cold calling, and they have all this sell by owner leads that they're actually selling those leads. So there's tons of ways, but I think the most cost effective way is building your network with real estate agent.
Yeah, totally. Because talk to a real estate agent, find if they got anything in their pocket, find out from them, hey, give me a list of expired listings. Let me find out the people who own these homes. Let me try to call them, right? Things like that.
And guys, if you want to go do this a long way, award your partners, recognize your listing agent, your buyer agent, hard work, and award them, and pay them a fair commission. That way they will be motivated to find you the next deal.
Yeah. Dude, I think that's pretty valuable stuff right there. So anything else you kind of want to cover before we kind of take it off here?
I would love to hear your feedback and your comments. So, if you haven't done so, subscribe or leave the comments down below. Vin and I would love to chat with you more. And yeah.
Hopefully you found this valuable. If you did, give us a follow, give us a like, but also give us some comments. We'd love to just engage with you. But me and Evan, we're doing kind of a gentleman's bet thing here. So meaning whoever starts subscribing and sharing our stuff, we'll take note of it. Also, DM us to let us know. So that way, we'll pick one of you guys and we'll go through a whole session on how to get you started to real estate investing and getting you cash flow. So hopefully that excites you and gets you started on your journey. But from Vin and Evan here, we're out.